everybody, Andrew Cuneo here. Today I'm going to be playing in the Arena Qualifier play-in, best of 3, which is an Alchemy event. If you watched my previous video, which was also about Alchemy in the Arena Decathlon, I played a very similar deck. I played a blue-white build of this kind of controlling Witness the Future deck. And I did okay in that video. After playing some more on the ladder, I kind of decided that the deck needed more cheap plays or, more ways to get off to an early advantage. And there isn't a lot that's offered by adding a third color. Looking at things, I decided, okay, well, what if I played with this card, Joint Exploration, which is kind of like Growth Spiral, but it costs 3 mana. Once you get to 3 mana, it's better than Growth Spiral because you get the scrying, but you don't get the ridiculous, like, turn 2, put an extra land into play starts that you would get with Growth Spiral. But I thought, okay, this might be useful. It certainly solves the problem that the blue-white build had, that you really just didn't have much to do on turn 3. Playing this on turn 3 and like getting to 6 mana on turn 5 is a pretty good start. The other card that green offers is this Broker's Charm card, which you get 3 modes. The best mode is draw 2 cards. Destroy an enchantment is a relevant mode in Alchemy for sure. And then this top mode that you have a creature deals damage equal to its power to another creature or planeswalker. Might look like it would be completely useless in this deck. My only creatures are Saiba Syphoners and the tokens from Wandering Emperor. It actually comes up some. It's certainly not the typical use of the card, but if you play the deck enough, that it will come up. So I added these green cards to the deck, and I cut Herald of Vengeance, which after playing with it a lot, I kind of decided it was just awkward, and the matchups where it was good in, you just don't play them very often in Alchemy. It seems like the most popular decks in Alchemy are kind of like a Jund deck based around Crucius. I'm expecting to play against that a lot, and it was just a lot of creatures that they didn't have to be attacking you, and you would still have to be able to kill them. So Herald of Vengeance was just kind of awkward because of that. I took out Silver Scrutiny because I think Broker's Charm does the same thing, or it does a better thing on turn 3, and then later on in the game, obviously Silver Scrutiny is better, but that was kind of the point in the game when this deck didn't really need a lot of help. I took out a Negate. That was kind of just to make room for Broker's Charm. Also, I have a third Saiba Syphoner. I basically decided that Saiba Syphoner was just a better card for this deck than Herald of Vengeance, so I wanted another one of those. In the lands, I've got a Cycling Triome style land, which is kind of nice because flooding was an issue when you're playing 27 lands. So having a cycling land helps that a little bit. I'm down to 1 Eiganjo, which I was playing 2 before just because I was playing 27 lands, and I was like, I need to have some of my lands be able to do something, in games when I just draw a ton of lands. But I cut an Eiganjo and I've got a Boseiju instead. Boseiju has a fair number of good targets in this format for sure. Not so much opposing lands, but mostly opposing enchantments and artifacts can matter. And then I've got a couple of Dreamroot Cascades and Overgrown Farmlands. And then I split my Pain lands. I went from 4 Adarkar Wastes down to 2, and then 1 of each of the other Pain lands, same number of Pain lands. So this gives you a reasonable number of sources of each color. You don't need a ton of green mana, certainly, to play these cards, because you can cast Joint Exploration even when you don't have green, although you can't get the full value. Broker's Charm, you do need green to be able to cast it, but that's only a 4 of in a deck, so it's still predominantly a blue-white deck. The sideboard is, I think, 100% the same. I've been mostly happy with the sideboard, so I didn't really change that at all. So that's the deck. If you want a kind of a more detailed breakdown of all these other cards, I'd encourage you to go watch the Arena Decathlon Alchemy video, because I did go into more detail about the rest of the deck. That said, let's jump into an event, and you'll get to see it in action. Very good hand. I'll be able to put this on blue and then play this untapped and have Undersimplify for turn 2. Turn 3, I was going to just have Witness the Future. I'll keep this Broker's Charm and play that instead. To draw 2. Really, you just want to, play enough card drawing to make sure you make your land drops with this deck. Ideally, I get to cast Discover the Formula on an empty board on turn 6, or a board, where I'm not that far behind and I'm still at a decent life total. And countering their first spell is a good way, it's a good start to that plan. That's really how this deck wins, is it gets, it gets to even and then plays Discover the Formula, and then once you start chaining those, nobody can keep up. It's really just a matter of, do you actually get to that point? Probably they're playing Jarsel, and I wouldn't be surprised if I get Jarsel to rest here, but they just got more duresses. So whatever they take, I can get back with Saiba Syphoner if that's what I want to do. If I don't draw a land next turn, I'm probably just going to get Broker's Charm back, though. Saiba Syphoner is the one card they can't take. Another play that I could make, which I don't think I'm going to make in this game, you can Witness the Future your opponent, and I could shuffle back in these duresses so that they wouldn't have them available to use with Jarsel. I think I have better uses for my mana, but if I didn't have this Saiba Syphoner to play this turn, I definitely would be doing that. I would just Witness the Future back the duresses. So probably they have a removal spell here. Not really expecting this block to work, but this is a spot where it's still very worth playing this here, because they're going to have to spend 1 or 2 mana to kill this so it doesn't trade. Okay, they're just accepting the trade. That's fine too. Had they just played a removal spell there, though, that would mean they weren't developing their board. And turn 4 is a turn where if that deck's left to its own devices, it's probably going to play something good. But no, they just have a massive number of duresses in their deck. This time they've gone after Farewell. Okay, I guess that makes sense. So I do have Fragment Reality in my deck, which it's important to note that they have Blood Tithe Harvesters. So probably if I cast Fragment Reality at some point, what's going to happen is they're going to get a Blood Tithe Harvester if I fragment away a Crucius. Which that's okay, if that happens. In theory, I could make some sort of a play where I block and Broker's Charm the Crucius and I get to kill it. I'm not going to try to do that, both because it gets blown out if they have a removal spell, and also I just want to draw more cards. Okay, they're playing Bushwhack to get a land. So this is 100% a deck that has Jarsel in it. That's why they have Bushwhack in their deck. And it doesn't seem like they've drawn their Jarsel, because if they had, they would have played it this turn. They didn't even want to attack. I think they were fearing I might make a fancy play with Broker's Charm. They chose Expedient, which I think is the low mana cost one. I was on the play this game, so this is going to come into play tapped. Do I want to shuffle stuff back into their deck? I don't think so. I want to shuffle stuff back into my deck. I guess the problem with playing this Witness the Future is if I cast it, it's going to be in my graveyard, so I won't be able to exile graveyards. And usually you actually want to exile graveyards the first time you play Farewell in this matchup. I want Fragment Reality. This is just a hedge against them getting a Jarsal. So I don't think I'm going to play Farewell next turn, unless they do something on their turn that really forces me to. They seem to be content to just kind of sit here and try to get a little bit of value with Crucius. Which I think this is a benefit of... My deck is definitely not a well-known deck. So I think they feel like they can just sit here and eventually they'll win in the long game, which isn't actually the case. They've not, like, they really haven't gotten much of an advantage, and they need to get an advantage before I start to go and discover the formula. It's experience. Oh, I see. So it's they're gonna get a card with greater mana value than what they discarded. I didn't realize that card went that way. It's kind of cool. Need another one. This is definitely not a spot where I feel like I need to cast Farewell. I can just jump and set up for a Farewell next turn. The fact that they have Jarsal, this is like worst possible case for me for sure. Guess I'm gonna discover the formula. Alright, this will work out fine. They can't stop me from Farewelling because I can Saiba Syphoner it back and then just cast it. They haven't drawn 4 Duresses, they've drawn 3. This is their second Jarsal. I don't think I want to exile graveyards. It would be kind of nice to be able to do that, but it would get rid of my Witness the Future, so I couldn't loop my deck indefinitely. And it also greatly restricts my targets for future Saiba Syphoners. So let's try to do this in a way that we do get to cast Farewell. Artifacts, creatures, enchantments. I don't think there's any enchantments in play. So now I'm down to 2 Saiba Syphoners in my deck, because this one's going to get exiled, obviously. But 2 Saiba Syphoners and a Witness the Future, you can go forever still. Now we're just playing off the top of our deck, probably. And, like, their deck is capable of doing powerful things, but not nearly to the extent that my deck is from this spot. Also, I just have a big mana advantage on them. And maybe I brick off for a few turns, and I don't have enough to do with all of my mana. But once I find another Discover the Formula or Saiba the Syphoner, I'll probably be spending all of my mana basically every turn.
Of Kamigawa. Who will protect my people? You're done.
And from that point, I'll win easily. The one thing that could happen is if they have, I was going to say an Assemble from Parks to get their other Titan of Industry back. That would be bad for me. This is also a little bad. Not that bad, though. Sure, I'll put this land in play. Doesn't really matter. This is a Farewell that I shuffled back in my deck with Witness the Future earlier. So once I cast this, both of my Farewells will be in the graveyard. It's an important note. artifacts, creatures, enchantments. So we get to clean up the Fukizuki that was about to become a bit of an issue. And I guess I'll just sit on this. I could play it on my turn, and if I draw exactly Forsaken Crossroads, I would have played it. But I think that it's probably worth just waiting. That way my opponent knows a little bit less about my hand.
We must protect the
Undersimplify is not going to be a great counter here. I can still counter a Titan of Industry. I don't know how many copies this deck usually plays. Yikes. That's a bit of a problem. It's not that big of a problem. They're going to get a duress. They're going to duress me. I'll let them take the joint exploration. And then I'm going to play Saiba Syphoner and rediscover the formula. This is their third Jarsal this game. That's probably their scariest card at this point in the game. I still feel very comfortable that I'm winning. But if they didn't have this turn, they would be completely doomed. As it stands, they're in extremely bad shape still. Tell me more about the formula. So this is one of those spots where I am actually going to use the fight mode. And I'm going to play this land. I don't think I'm very likely to ever want to spend 3 mana to cycle it, and I'll probably just be able to, tap all of my lands to cast spells for the rest of the game anyway. Alright, that's fine. I've been duressed an extreme amount this game. So, in this matchup, generally people have even more discard in their sideboard, and this opponent had, it looked like 4 duresses in their main deck. So I'm going to board in more card draw. I'm going to cut Depopulate because all of their creatures, with the exception of Titan of Industry, which Depopulate isn't even that good against, they have a lot of creatures that are multicolored, so they would draw a card off of them, so I don't really love playing Depopulate there. I'm actually going to board in another Fragment Reality because I'm on the draw. And I think I'm going to do that. Yeah. I'm missing a color, and I don't have any castable spells. Mulliganing is really painful in this matchup because the way they win is by making you discard, and you're starting out by discarding. But I think I still got to do it. This will certainly work. What's my worst card? I think it's one of my Bonkers Charms. Put this on white. I want this. It's my 4th land. I don't think so. Hopefully their hand isn't just a bunch of Undercity Plunders. It'd be kind of obnoxious if it was. Ooh, they didn't even have an untapped land. So now this game's probably going to actually be somewhat easy. If they play a 3-drop this turn, then it gets syncopated. This land's going to wind up being on blue and probably come into play untapped would be my guess. Maybe not. I think in this spot it's probably better to play Joint Exploration kicked, maybe get a mana advantage. Which I am going to have to find some lands on top of the deck for that to play out that way. But I did. Afford to keep that. Keep playing these on blue. Land. An untapped land would have been nicer, but that's fine. I think I'm going to play the Saiba Syphoner, try to block with it and get back Syncopate. They're probably missing lands if they're discarding 2 spells there. Even though, I think the Saiba Syphoner, did it cause my deck to be shuffled? I'm not sure. Okay. That's a little bad for me. By a little, it's actually quite bad. I probably desperately need Farewell here. Maybe I don't desperately need Farewell. If I can find a Wandering Emperor, that's I did not board in the Unlicensed Hearses, which Unlicensed Hearse is good against Assemble from Parts, and it's pretty good against Jarsoul, but I think it's just too weak overall in a matchup where I'm mostly concerned about my opponent making me discard a lot. I don't want to have a card that's just potentially not going to do anything in my deck. So I think I'm going to wind up trying to Fateful Absence. Oh, that was a good draw. The Titan of Industry if they target it with the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki. And because I drew that untapped land there, I can go discover the formula, 1 mana Fateful Absence. I had kept the Broker's Charm because it would have guaranteed me to be able to do a second thing with the Fateful Absence. It might not even turn out that that was necessary. Even if they just attack me with the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki, I'm going to make that same play. And go discover the formula, Fateful Absence. It's just a question of how greedy they get. If they get greedy and try to copy the Titan of Industry, I get to get them. There is a downside. If they draw Duress and they start out by Duressing me, it's pretty bad for me that I played this way. I maybe shouldn't have been this greedy. Although, I think if they had Duress in their hand, they would have played it last turn. Duress would have to be their top card. I think they're probably really agonizing over what to do with the Reflection of Kiki-Jiki this turn. And I decide to go for it. Probably going to be very good for me. they want to add something to the board. They do. I wonder if I want to go after graveyards. Just giving up my Memory Deluge. So that's a lot to give up. The other thing that's awkward is if I just play Farewell here, I only get to play one spell. I could discover the formula, exile this thing. I think that's what I'm actually going to do instead. Going down to 5 life here. No, I'll be going down to 5 life. Oh, actually no. I'll be going down to 3 life. I guess I can also, if I want to, just go double Wandering Emperor. I don't think that's what I want to do, though. They got scared of how last turn went, and they decided to attack this turn. It's tough to know how to make the decisions in the opponent's spot. It's worked out that they did, exactly what was best for me both times. It's one of the advantages of having a deck that just plays all at instant speed.
I'm not overconfident.
It's hard for people to, always make the right choice.
My judgment is final.
Even had they just chosen to copy the Rhino, I would be at 3 life instead of 5. Which I don't think that their deck has anything that's going to kill me from 3 life. This is not the style of red-black deck that plays Invoke Despair usually. They certainly, from their perspective, they need to be putting more pressure only than they have been. Whoa, they discarded Jarson. I think that was one of their scarier cards. Go graveyards. Guess not. I don't know that I'm really getting to this Memory Deluge anytime soon, but they also don't have a Duress in their graveyard, which them having a Duress in their graveyard is like one of the biggest reasons to go graveyards. If they had a Duress or Technic Industry down here, both of those things make their graveyard fairly scary. Like them going Jarsoul, assemble from parts, assemble like a Crucius, that would be a good play for them, but I think I would still be able to handle that pretty comfortably. Alright, this is a good card. Cool. They're gonna plunder me. I don't think I need this Fateful Absence or this backup Wandering Emperor. I don't generally like letting them draw a card from my deck off of the plunder, especially in a situation like this, because it's so easy to play right now when I know that they don't have any counters. Like, I don't want to lose a game just because they randomly got a Syncopate out of my deck, and I'm not playing around it. And, like, I don't want to have to play the whole game thinking, what if they have Syncopate? Also, if they get to discover the formula, it's just, you know, an incredibly good draw for them. So I try to avoid situations where they would be getting either of those. Okay, and I'm going to keep those, I think.
To me.
I could fragment this guy. I don't think I really even need to, though. Just a big Titan of Industry, that's what you got for me. So I'm giving up a token, and I'm not going to have as good of a target for Fragment Reality down the road, but this does give me a measure of safety that if they somehow get a Titan of Industry in play, I can, you know, get it off the board and turn it into something else for a turn if I need to. It's a good thing they didn't draw a Duress earlier in this game. If they had had a Duress in their top 20 cards, they probably would have won. Another Titan of Industry, huh? Wait, where's the cheaper Syncopate? I maybe could have played Broker's Charm first to see if I hit something else that would have been good, but it didn't matter. On the play with a turn 2 counter. This is what I want to be doing pretty much every game. One bad thing about this hand is that I don't have any green mana and I don't have any cheap card drawing. So I'm not guaranteed to get to 6 mana. I know I could have undersimplified that and they wouldn't get that Pathfinder. Or Trap Finder. I don't really care if they have the Trap Finder. I wanted to save Undersimplify in case they had something on turn 3 that was more scary. Now a green mana would be great. And that is in fact great. These Goblin decks are surprisingly good. For a deck that really seems like it has a lot of not so hot cards, they do actually kill you out of nowhere a lot of the time. I'm going to play this now. I think if I hit my other Fragment Reality, I would have fragmented one of those dudes. I'm definitely going to Wandering Emperor one of these Sword Masters. I know I'm probably going to play Farewell on my turn as well, but it just prevents so much damage if I take out one of these Sword Masters. It's a 6-point life swing. Ooh, they're just not even going to attack at all? Do I still want to do the life swing? Or I can play this. Going to 11. I think I'm still going to do this. I think my hand is good enough that
I am the Emperor of Kamigawa, and
I just want to keep my life total high.
To see you go.
How do I feel about exiling graveyards here? I think I feel fine about it. I know that this is an 0-2, but it can still eventually come back and do something, so. The scary thing that could happen here is if they play Goblin Influx Array this turn. That would give them a shot at keeping up with me. I still think I'm going to be able to overpower this, but it at least gives them some hope. It was certainly the best possible card for them for that turn. Alright, we got a big squee. And an Ember Hauler.
I'll be back.
What's this squeak big? Oh, it's from the Coalition construct. In theory, I could just get back Farewell. I think I'm going to want to do that next turn instead of this turn. So, if I want to be able to do both of these things, that's 7 mana. Meaning I can't afford to play Sunset Revelry this turn. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play Sunset Revelry this turn. Anyway. And then I'll discover the formula and joint exploration, and if I need to, I'll just Saiba Syphoner Farewell. All in one turn. Or, depending on how they attack, I could also just Saiba Syphoner Farewell in combat. Or Saiba Syphoner, get back the Farewell, and just trade this off in combat. So Reckless Ringleader. So I'm going to chump to prevent damage, and I'll trade with the token. I don't want to, given that I know I'm going to Farewell, I don't want to put this in the graveyard, because it's just a card that they could eventually use to get a different copy of Squee back. Alright, now I definitely need to Farewell, but I will do it on my turn. I'll get it back with Saiba Syphoner for my turn. Yeah, another Saiba Syphoner seems pretty good. I didn't miscount my mana. I think it's a full cost, so I need 8. No. So I definitely had enough mana, but it's nice that I'm going to get to leave a Fateful Absence up here. I'm gonna leave graveyard. The only thing they use their graveyard for is bringing back Squee, and I've already gotten rid of 2 Squees, I think. It's a new Rally Leader. So we can play the 3 mana Siphoner, get back and discover the formula here and block. And then I think I'll be very comfortably at that point. I've been very comfortably in command from before that. I guess I can get the cheaper one and maybe I hit the joint exploration I want to cast. The Fury. I'll let that get shuffled back into my deck before I cast this Discover the Formula. Didn't expect it to be hard to find. And yet again, I'll play that. as a land. Just no reason not to keep making your land drops with this deck. Oh, they get to draw both off of the Roadside Reliquary. Nice. Some people play this land that just scries when it comes into play in this Goblin deck. I think that the Roadside Reliquary is probably better. What do you got for me, Formula? I suppose.
I've learned much during my travels. Let me show you.
Sure.
See you later.
Wouldn't want to do anything about that even if I could. Guess I'll gain life before I start attacking them. Doesn't seem like they're ever going to have enough creatures in play that I'll have to make some blockers with that. Whoa, we're really facing Kakazan now. I'm not really sure why these people have this card Fury in their deck. It seems like a popular inclusion and it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Get rid of those. We're at the point where there's not really... you can't make any decisions that matter at this point in the game when you're playing this deck. You just cast your cards and get it over with. Try not to misclick. Really all you have to do. And I guess also make sure you're playing at a fast enough pace you don't run out of time.
We must protect the people.
Which isn't very likely to be a problem. But I suppose it could at some point be a problem. I'm going to be discarding the hand size.
May your blade strike true.
Discard this Depopulate. Maybe should have discarded Farewell instead of Depopulate, just to not let my opponent know that I have Depopulate in my deck. Alright, what's good? Knockout Blow. Portable Hole. Fragment Reality. Sunset Revelry. These are all cards I like. Cards I don't like. I don't really like the counters. They're not awful, but they're not great. One more card I want to cut. I'm going to leave my Fateful Absences in because a lot of times their deck board's in Chandra. Do I want a Farewell? Actually, I think I want this Farewell as well. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a Joint Exploration and a Broker's Charm. And we'll go like that. By sideboarding like that, I definitely trimmed some of my cheap plays, but I was replacing them with other cheap plays, so I think it'll be fine. I can fragment this, which is pretty nice. They still got a point of damage, but they don't get the counter, and they're not going to get the 2/2 haste, both of which are somewhat important parts of that card. If they don't have one of their great 3-drops, I'm in really good shape. Not gonna have time for that. I might not. Because next turn I'm gonna join Exploration. And then the turn after that I would have the Saiba Syphoner. So I think I actually just want to make sure I'm making these land drops. Get the Farewell. Reliably. This is certainly starting fine. That's making things a little bit less fine. so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to Saiba Syphoner back the Fragment Reality, and I'm going to fragment the Influx Array into that. My Siphoner is getting exiled because it's trading with that journey for mono. Let's see if they play another influx on me. They're Ithgard Furying me. The Fire and the Fury. Should I fire off my Farewell? I don't think I actually need to. So you're like a little bear. I've been going slow with this Farewell because I didn't want it to cast it and then just have nothing. Like I didn't feel like that put enough pressure on me that I absolutely had to cast it. I think I can do better than Fateful Absence. That seems better. Now that I've got a backup Farewell, I'm going to play it. I'm going to leave No squee this turn. No squee, no influx array. Nothing. I can go for a nice nothing. So I didn't play the Broker's Charm before scrying there, which it might have been tempting to do, but I didn't do it for this specific reason that I wanted to be able to destroy an influx array, potentially, before they get a card off of it. Would I cast Sunset Revelry if I find it? I think I would, so I think I'm going to do this on my turn now. I'm not going to cast the Sunset Revelry because I drew a white instant. I maybe made a mistake not just leaving double white open there. That's probably as good as Sunset Revelry is going to get. It's just game 4. I know I was being a little bit inconsistent by not sitting on the Broker's Charm there. The difference, though, is that the other time I knew I had some other action. I didn't need the cards off of Broker's Charm. And that's about, I felt like if I just played Broker's Charm on an enchantment, I was potentially going to run out of stuff to do. Do have a turn 2 counter. That's always a good sign. So far I haven't, I guess I've used Witness the Future a little bit, but I haven't really felt like I needed it. I do think you need to have the 1 in your deck, but honestly you probably would hope to never draw it. Except in a really, really long game, so it's not a card you want in your opening hand, that's for sure. I think they're going to 5. It's not good for the opponent. They went to 0. Let's see. Not really sure what's going on here, but okay. I think that maybe what they're doing is they just want me to show them what deck I'm playing. So they know how to sideboard and I don't know how to sideboard. I mean, I guess that's a theory. So I'm just going to play this Wandering Emperor and they'll probably concede. You can't beat the Wandering Emperor if you never play anything.
You let your blade do the talking.
From this point, I'm not going to play another spell. Unless it might get to the point where I have to discard the hand size, and if that happens, I will think about what card I want to show them. But hopefully it doesn't come to that. I can just keep playing lands. Like if I had to show them something, I think I would discard to discover the formula. I'd rather not let them know that I have Syncopate in my deck, and I'd rather not let them know I have Saiba Syphoner. Discover the formula is not one you really play around unless you're playing with counters. So it seems like they were going to have to mold a 5 or 4, and they gave up on the game and just wanted to get information for sideboarding while not revealing what deck they're playing. I think in practice that sounds like a strategically brilliant maneuver to do, but I think in practice it actually doesn't help you all that much. You're probably better off just trying to win on 4 cards and doing what the opponent did. If you think about it, I mean, how often do you win on a mull of 4? Maybe once in 200 times or something like that. How much of an advantage do you get by getting to sideboard knowing your opponent has the Wandering Emperor in their deck and they don't know anything about your deck? I mean, you get some advantage, but I don't know if it's even worth a 0.5%. They're a Grixis gamer. They've decided to play lands. These Blood Tithe Harvesters are so good when they have them on turn 2 because they deal a decent amount of damage, but they become like nothing by about turn 5. Well, when you have one, the second one really starts adding up. So I would say they're not nothing yet, but... what's better? Scrying or bluffing? I have the Wandering Emperor. I think scrying is better. I don't think I can bluff my way into them not attacking with either one of their creatures. If I thought there was a chance that that would work, I would play an untapped land here. But I don't think that's going to work. I'd rather scry and have a Wandering Emperor for real on turn 5 or have a Sunset Revelry. So I assume I'm basically dead. I guess I should cycle on my turn in case I actually hit Sunset Revelry. I was thinking I needed to hit Fragment Reality or Fateful Absence. I didn't hit either of those. Not a great showing from my deck. Is there a Grixis deck? I think they probably have Invoke Despair in their deck. Usually when people play with Invoke Despair, they play Shivan Reefs, and that's like their only non-black land. So you could easily have Invoke Despair. Sometimes Disdainful Stroke is good against that kind of deck. Fateful Absence, it's okay. I think Sunset Revelry is kind of bad. I think I'm just going to play another Fragment Reality and play a Memory Deluge. I'm going to cut Depopulate for another Memory Deluge. They probably don't have any Planeswalkers. This seems fine. I've been getting pretty lucky playing just 4 counters and having them on turn 2 a lot. I would like to feel like I could play more counters, but the counters you can play on turn 2 are all pretty clunky, so that they kind of go bad as the game goes on. And the 3-mana counters are just too bad. Like, trying to play 3-mana counters when you're on the draw, it's terrible. I think I'm going to Syncopate this turn. I have Undersimplify for next turn. I'm going to assume I'm going to be casting Undersimplify and just play my tap land. I could have played the Farmland and then set up for a kicked Joint Exploration. The problem with that, though, is if I wind up playing Undersimplified, then I have to play a tapped land on turn 4, and I can't play Memory Deluge, which that's kind of a disaster. These Corpse Appraisers really aren't great against my deck, but they've gotten them to work out. They're not great because my deck has a lot of things to exile, and not very many creatures. And there we go. They do have Invoke Despair in their deck, as suspected. I think Spell Pierce is a legal card, but it's not widely played. I want one of those lands for sure. That's fine. I'm gonna let that hit me. I don't think there's any value to just taking damage here. I know they're gonna get a Blood Tithe Harvester, which is not ideal, but I have 2 Fragment Realities in my hand. What am I gonna do with them if I'm not willing to cast one of them in that spot? I think I'm in good shape as long as they don't have a ton of counters in their deck. If they have a bunch of counters in their deck, this game could be kind of hard if they find 1 or 2 of them at a key moment. I don't think they're going to be able to kill me just by attacking for damage and trying to finish me off with Invoke Despair. Siphon Insight's definitely a good card. So they could potentially be stealing my counters. I just had 4 counters in my deck, though, and I've already used 2. I guess I could also, if they had a Wandering Emperor, that would be a really good thing for them to have. I'm just going to take it and try to play Discover the Formula. If this works, it's huge for me. And if it doesn't, it's going to be because they have one of their limited number of counters that I need to get through anyway. Alright, they hit a land off the Siphon Insight. That's not horrible for me. That's not helpful either. I might want to Fragment Reality the Shielder to my upgrade. If they didn't even get priority, so I'm thinking that they're not stopping this Farewell. And I think I am going to go Graveyards. It gets rid of a Siphon Insight. I guess they can play the Siphon Insight in response. Maybe I shouldn't go Graveyards. They can sack their 2 treasures. They don't get to use their blood then. And it does make their Corpse Appraisers worse, which they've got 2 of those left in their deck still. Yeah, I'm going to go Graveyards. I'm gonna go to my main phase first, though. If I wanted to, I could Syncopate this. Doesn't seem worthwhile, though. Sure. That was their best possible for that turn, but I don't think it's going to be enough, actually. Because now we get to play from a spot where I'm going to get to have a lot of mana untapped, and they have nothing in play that does anything. That's a bit of a scary card.
I need your name and birthday, so I know what to put on your graves. Beware. I know some sickening magic.
What can you tell me about this formula, opponent?
Run away. You'll be safer. Guards, to me.
They're gonna get to be able to spend the mana to crack the treasure.
Oh, I'm not
But I would have to discard the hand size. And my hand's actually mostly spells that I think are gonna be good as the game progresses. One of the reasons that it's so hard for them to finish me off with Invoke Despairs is because just a Wandering Emperor and a token counters a good chunk of Invoke Despair. Two-thirds, to be precise. Crucius. Do I care about Crucius? I don't think I really care about that. Yeah, maybe I do. Maybe I should fragment it. Sure. Have another Blood Tithe Harvester. Eventually they're not going to even have any left. That's their... They got 2 so far? Oh, I think they boarded some out. This is a smart thing the opponent did. I don't know if they knew that I had Fragment Reality, but having like a small number of Blood Tithe Harvesters is pretty good. Although they did seem to have a lot the previous game. So maybe they didn't do that. I don't know what happened. We're definitely going to fragment this Bank Buster though. That much I know.
Keep watch for intruders.
So I think we're going to win pretty easily, barring any Siphon Insight shenanigans. On the draw, I don't have a 2-mana counter, which is unfortunate. And probably against a Grixis deck, Sunset Revelry isn't going to be a great card. We'll have to see. So I definitely don't want to play Sunset Revelry this turn. The question is, do I want to play Joint Exploration this turn? I think the answer is probably yes. It's awkward with hands like this. It's a real decision whether you want to play Joint Exploration on turn 2 or save it for turn 3. If I didn't already have the Broker's Charm to play on turn 3 and have just a 4-mana card, I might have tried to get the ramping out of the Joint Exploration. But I think with the way my hand is, like, I don't even have a 6-mana card yet, and I have a different 3-mana card I can play. I think it's better to just spend my mana on turn 2. I could have, like, sort of half spent my mana by just scrying with the Forsaken Crossroads, but since I'm on the draw, I can always play this untapped, so it doesn't have to be a card that I kind of invest the mana in by playing tapped. I think I'm just gonna... Well, I have to discard. What's my worst card? Is it Sunset Revelry? I think it is. The other option would be to just fire. I don't think playing Wandering Emperor at Sorcerer Speed's ever going to be good there. I'm definitely going to play Wandering Emperor regardless of what they do with their Crucius. If they attack me, I'm going to try to exile. If they don't attack me, I'm going to play it at the end of the turn. Okay. This is going to be an interesting match. We got somebody who's got at least some interaction in their deck. Well, that was a rough turn for me. I think I'm probably losing now. Spell Pierce is definitely the enemy of my deck. There's not another one. Gross. It's gonna be too slow. If you have a second Invoke Despair here, it is over. Not literally, but it's not going well. Should I just concede? I could siphon her back. Sunset Revelry, which it's worked out really poorly that I discarded Sunset Revelry. I was not expecting it to get double spell pierced and fall this far behind. I think I'm just gonna scoop. Like a Crucius Invoke Despair spell pierce deck. Rough. That was rough. I like Fragment Reality here. The real question is, do I want Negates? Negate certainly isn't a good card against Spell Pierce. It is a good card against Invoke Despair. I don't usually put Negate in my deck against these Grixis decks because it's pretty easy for them to just duress it out of your hand. Like getting it to line up with the Invoke Despair when they have a bunch of discard doesn't usually work out. I think I'm going to assume they're going to have a bunch of discard and just board this way anyway. Alright, no turn 2 play, but I do have reasonable turn 3 play and some good turn 4 plays. That's probably a pretty good draw. I'm assuming they have Blood Tithe Harvester, and it would have been kind of bad for me if they just had Blood Tithe Harvester running Rampage over the game starting on turn 2. Don't think they're going to Spell Pierce this. They're getting priority, so they probably have Spell Pierce in their hand, or Negate, or if I'm really unlucky, this person also has Siphon Insight. They would have played Siphon Insight if they had it here. So they're representing Spell Pierce pretty hard, the way they played. I'm just going to play a Saiba Syphoner, which they can't Spell Pierce. Pretty nice. I want to go beat down. I can. I think I'm going to. This way I don't have to trade and give them a treasure. And I get to start pressuring their life total some, which in the game ones of a matchup like this, pressuring your opponent's life total doesn't really work because they're just going to have a bunch of removal spells in their deck that were going to probably be pretty useless. In sideboarded games, though, it's actually more effective because your opponent will have boarded out those removal spells. It's still not actually going to wind up, I think, being effective this game, just because they've gotten to resolve a Soaring here, which is unfortunate for me.
You wish to know my secrets? Very well.
I can kill the Soaring this turn, though. And I'm going to do that. Is this a good turn to play Spara's headquarters? Means I only get to Syncopate for 1. think it's still worth it, though. Since I know that they have an untapped land that they can play,
What's one more?
the Haunted Ridge, and I strongly suspect they have Spell Pierce in their hand, being able to Syncopate for 2 doesn't actually do anything because it just trades with the Spell Pierce. So I think I just want to get more get a tap land into play that turn. Yeah. That's kind of the interaction that I was expecting. Like, if I had left up mana to be able to Syncopate that, the Syncopate would have just gotten Spell Pierced. So we're not really doing that well, even though it feels like some stuff has gone right this game. I mostly just kept up with their 2-for-1s. I'm going to take the hit and play Wandering Emperor at the end of turn, I think. Sheoldred. So my plan is to to make sure the Wandering Emperor resolves, and then if it resolves, I'm gonna Fragment Reality Shouldered. I got some Fragment Reality in the Shouldered anyway here. I wasn't thinking about Make Disappear. I don't know if there was a better way to do this for me. Probably gonna be a Crucius. Okay. So, guessing they have Blood Tithe Harvester in their deck. It's possible they don't. Even if they get Blood Tithe Harvester, oh, they don't. Even if they'd gotten a Blood Tithe Harvester there, that's not that big of a deal. It's probably just going to wind up trading with one of my Saiba Syphoners. They are up a fair number of cards at this point, though. More Fables of the Mirror Breaking. They're slightly ahead on board. They've got one more land than me, and they've got another card than me. These are all things that I don't particularly like. And two of my, like, Undersimplify and Syncopate, I think are fine spells to play, but they really line up poorly when you play against someone who has Spell Pierce in their deck. Whoa! This opponent came prepared for this style of game. This is actually kind of going to work out well for me, I think. So I know I can Fragment Reality that safely. They don't have 2 mana cards in their deck. I think I should have Negate in my deck. If we get to a game 3, I'm going to put it in. I feel like I'm losing this game though, so probably not going to get to a game 3. I still have a little bit of hope. Like, if I somehow manage to resolve a Discover the Formula, I could get back into it. I think I just need to discover the formula right here. Yavimaya Coast. Discover the formula. Yuck. Guess I should have Fateful Absence last turn. Maybe all they have in hand is a Spell Pierce. So that's the Spell Pierce they've been representing since turn 3. Or maybe that was the Spell Pierce they've been representing since turn 3. Invoke Despairs to those left. I think 2. I would assume I'm dead. Maybe if their hand is horrible. Though how would their hand be horrible if they just played Memory Deluge? The best case here is they try to flash back the Memory Deluge and I undersimplify it. Let's see if they have another Spell Pierce. Doesn't really matter. If they don't have a Spell Pierce, they have other good things in their hand. Alright, so I'm going to lose this game, obviously. I think if I had known their deck list exactly, I could have maybe sideboarded a little bit better, but I think this is just a terrible matchup. My deck is all non-creature cards, and they have a lot of Spell Pierces. I'm not sure this is a good way to construct your deck given what the format is, but it was good enough to beat me. So that's the deck. I think I'll be playing it in the actual day 1 of the Arena Qualifier. I probably won't make another video with it for the play-in though. So stay tuned and you'll see how I do in the Qualifier. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and I'll see you next time.